Welcome to Nailed It, a podcast featuring business tips from industry leaders, presented by Clever Punch. Here's your host, Jade Flogrzy.
Welcome to Nailed It. Today, we're thrilled to have an exceptional guest who has made significant strides in the world of design. So joining us is Grace Machado McClurg, the founder and principal of Design Art, LLC, a boutique design firm that specializes in creating captivating spaces for local restaurants, multifamily projects, and custom residences. Grace's journey began over a decade ago in the hospitality design industry, where she grew into a prominent designer and leader. With 20 years of experience leading teams at globally recognized award-winning firms, Grace has a wealth of knowledge in both designing and managing complex projects. Her career includes notable positions as Director of Design at Style Interior Design in Irvine, California, Design Director at Pacini Group in San Francisco, and Senior Project Designer at Getty's. In 2018, recognizing a gap in the market for a nimble, versatile design team, Grace established Design Art with a clear vision to bring the boutique aesthetic of hospitality design to budget-efficient projects, prioritizing flexibility, efficient processes, and a deeply personal approach for each client. Currently residing in Arizona, Grace balances her professional pursuits with a passion for traveling, spending time with her husband and 3 children, and engaging in lifelong learning through books and documentaries. Welcome to the show, Grace.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So you're based in Arizona, but your team is remote, right? Tell me more about that.
Yes. So I started the company. I live here in Arizona. I originally was in California and moved for cost of living primarily and family. I had twins at the time. So moved to Arizona in 2016. Was working remotely actually for my previous company, Style Interior Design. And about a year later, decided to go out on my own and started the company then and stayed in Arizona ever since.
Nice. So that helps us to understand kind of how you got started in California, what kind of led to Arizona, that necessity of cost of living of going to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And then how did you decide to grow your team remotely? Did that come out of necessity? Was it the best fit that worked for everyone? Is it best for the projects, best for the clients?
Yeah, I think it kind of all happened very organically, and that's kind of been the story of our business or my business from the start. I was definitely burnt out, my commute was probably an hour and a half or so each way in rush hour, and I had twins at home. They were under 5 at the time. And so it was a lot of time away from home. And anyone in the industry knows that it's a lot of work when you're at work and you don't get to unplug really when you get home. It still continues, right? We love technology, but it makes it more difficult to kind of turn things off and be more present. So when I started the business, that was one of my priorities, was to have that flexibility for myself to be able to work from anywhere and really any time that I could get work done, right? Or if I was most productive, or get up before the kids, or stay up before or after they go to sleep. That was sort of what was working for me, what I needed at the time. And it just kind of grew from there. I think, again, with the team growing, it was very organic with that as well. What happened was I did get a few jobs right away. Clients started contacting me and saying, hey, we heard you left. Would you be interested in taking this sort of side project, smaller kind of efforts on directly with us to close out projects that I maybe had left, or design adjacent projects to the projects I had been working on, like an office space or a custom home for a client that I was working with on a multifamily project. So I started doing that. And then slowly, people that I had previously worked with started reaching out to me and asking, hey, is there anything? I heard you might be doing some things on your own. Is there anything that I can help with? Either they wanted some extra income, or they needed that flexibility, that same flexibility that I was looking for. They needed to work and they wanted to work in design, but they were having a hard time with the sort of corporate expectation that came with that. So they would reach out to me, and I really prioritized, and I do still prioritize people over everything else. And so if they were a good team member, a good fit, a lot of times I had worked with them previously in the past, and if I thought they had really great value for the team or projects, then I would find something for them to do. So a lot of the team started with very few hours, maybe 8 hours a week or something, as we kind of started to layer them into our processes. And then when we, requested proposals from us, we had proposals requested from us, I would say, okay, yeah, we can do that because now we have extra people, right? So it's kind of been more organic and a give and take and a push and pull in terms of the team growth. But the flexibility has always been at the forefront, and why people have been coming to me to work with us. And I think what's really been able to help us all keep that work-life balance that we're so desperately seeking.
So how many people are on your team and where are they located?
I think I'm gonna have to count. I think there's like 8, including me. And we have, let's see, we have Deb and Jessica and Avery in Orange County. And then we have Evan, who kind of splits his time between LA and near the Salt Lake City, Utah area. He's sort of half and half. And then we have Shannon in Austin, Texas, and Katie in Michigan, kind of near Flint, Michigan area. And then I'm here in Arizona, and we have Adriana also here in Arizona. And then we work with several consultants all over the world as well, for more like larger efforts. So like CAD, an outsourced CAD team, a rendering, team in Wales, the CAD teams in India. So we have really people that we work with all over the world. These projects that we do really take a collective to see to fruition.
I think people are so much more open-minded to the concept of a remote team. Obviously, with COVID, how we view it today is so different than 4 years ago. But it is still a new concept, and it is still something that people are divided on if they think it's positive or negative. One of the challenges that comes up is communication amongst a team. Is that a concern of your clients? And what solutions have you found in order to foster good communication with your team?
Yeah, I don't think the communication part of it is a huge concern of clients. I think the bigger concern that I see clients when they realize we're a remote team is, are you going to be able to make it to our project? Are we going to have someone on the ground there? In the beginning, I think it was a little bit more of like, can we have people at the meeting? How are you going to be in these in-person meetings? But to your point, since the pandemic, most of the meetings, I would say 99% of them are all virtual. They've just maintained virtual. So in a way, though, the remote team is helpful for that because, if we do have projects in Texas, or we have a project in Colorado and in Orange County, California, New Jersey. So it kind of helps that we have people in semi-close proximity to each of our projects. So if there was somebody, let's say, hey, we need you here tomorrow, we like to at least give 24 hours notice, but like, hey, if we need you here tomorrow, any one of our team could hopefully make it to any location of our job within that time frame. So I think that's actually an added value and benefit to our clients for having that remote team. In terms of internal communication, it is a challenge, but I think we've managed to find a way to make it work. We don't have a set schedule for the team. Everyone kind of works on their own time. So we're much more deliverable based and project based than we are task based or, managing every little detail of things. In the beginning, when it was just a few of us, we would really coordinate mostly through email and communicate via text, like on our phone, or make a phone call to one another if we needed to. We would often, get on virtual meetings like this one. Zoom has been really great for us because you can mark up the screen as you talk and as you go along, and you can record that too. So that's been helpful for like kicking off projects. But I think we all have kind of learned to over communicate, if that makes sense. We'll put together, like the design managers or I will put together a full kickoff kind of brief of a task or a project or whatever the deliverable might be that's needed. And it'll be very clear, very outlined. And we'll just send that over email to everybody. And then we additionally schedule a virtual Zoom or a Meet for the whole team to go through all of that at a time that works for everybody. Calendly has actually been really good for that, or any real calendar program where you can kind of see everybody's schedule. We also over input in our calendars so that, everyone can see, okay, we have an office calendar. It's like, if you're out of office this time, or what are your work hours, everyone kind of keeps that up to date for themselves. So it's a lot of self-management, self-time management, but also managing up. And I think not only being available when somebody needs you, and so that might be a text if you're away from your computer, or asking the questions needed for you to do your job successfully from others. And that might be an email at the end of the day saying, hey, here are my questions, here's my progress. And if it's overly complicated to answer, then it would be something we schedule a virtual meeting for. But most of the time, I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's something that we can either collaborate or coordinate on via markup on a PDF or response to email, snips of pictures, things like that. Another challenge, I think, with the design industry and remote working, a lot of times is the project samples and the finishes, and having everyone on the team be on board with what the design direction and finish direction is for a project and making sure they're all cohesive. So we usually pick one person on the team to own the finishes, and they'll order all the samples, they'll take pictures, or we'll do like FaceTime or, again, virtual meetings to kind of go over it. Some people have libraries in their homes, or in their remote offices, wherever they work. And so they can pull and say, oh yeah, that looks good together. Other times we'll order multiple samples so multiple team members have the finishes. And we'll ask that construction administration phase, where we're getting submittals from the GC on the project, we'll ask that those samples be sent to that person, that finish lead person who has the control samples for the project. I would say most of the time that's the design manager or myself that kind of owns the final project box, and then that last phase of work on the project. But overall, communication, I would say we use everything and anything that makes sense. And I think we've all just learned, again, to be that over communicative with each other and not shy to ask for something when we need it. And, willing to jump on a call for 10 minutes, even if you're, running an errand or something like that, just to keep people moving forward. And it goes all ways, right? So it's, if you're available for somebody, then they're going to be available for you too. So it's a really collaborative and great environment, I think, for everybody. And I also think, not to exhaust the question, but I also think that personal relationship makes that communication a lot easier too. And so one thing we also do is, on a lot of our calls, a lot of our meetings, and even emails, like we all establish a more personal relationship with each other. So we're always asking, oh, how was your weekend? Or what are you up to? How's the family? And we'll talk about that sometimes more than whatever the question was at hand. But I think developing that personal connection and relationship, you like to work with people and for people that you like. And so internally we have that dynamic, that relationship dynamic, and that humanity kind of importance. And we also have that and extend that to our clients and our vendors too. So anyone we communicate with, because we're a remote team, I think that's extra important to be able to establish that stronger connection with everyone.
It sounds like, my takeaway from that is not that you've found some secretive tools when it comes to remote communication, but that you've found the right people. It's just about people that are experienced, professional, have respect for each other. You have that as the common ground, then it's all of these little pieces that you said come out of that means that you're going to have good communication, that people aren't going to be a silo, that people aren't going to be cagey about their
Right.
role and protecting their project, but work
Mutual
together.
trust, mutual respect, keeping things organized, right? So we have a project folder system, a file, where to save files. It's the same across every project. Our processes, our checklists, templates. We've tried to create sort of a baseline understanding or form, place that people can get information of each deliverable or each phase of work. So it makes it really efficient, right? There isn't a lot of need for like, hey, I can't find this. Where is this? Or what do you want me to do for this? We've never done this before. It's very systemized. So that has also helped a ton.
Awesome. Circling back to your own need for flexibility and how that was one of the reasons that the team ended up becoming remote. So you're married, you have 3 children. What does work-life balance look like for you?
Yeah, I think that really a big picture, it's being able to work from anywhere and anytime. We love to travel as a family. And so not only do I work at home in a home office, but my kids also school at home. So they are all on online school and their school lessons are also recorded. So we can travel, really anywhere, anytime and work from wherever we are. And we love to travel and we love to, learn about new cultures and I think expand our perspective of the world in general and design too, as it relates to my business. But, we'll often go traveling. Like we went to Portugal in December of I think 2022. And we would get up in the morning, all of us, and my husband would go get little breakfast like meat pies and coffee and hot chocolate for the kids. And then we would all gather around the dining table in our vacation rental and we would work for a couple hours. I would work for a couple hours and the kids would do school for a couple hours. And then we would close our stuff up and we had our out of offices on, and then we would go explore and experience the world. And, I might check emails again before bed just to make sure there wasn't anything, major that I needed to step in on. But yeah, being able to have that flexibility and putting that family time at the forefront of my life, I think is what work-life balance means to me, right? It's that saying, work to live, not live to work. So we work to live,
I love that clearly you created this out of a need in your own life. Like you mentioned earlier in the episode, it's not typical for an interior designer, for a principal to have this type of flexibility. There's a corporate kind of standard that
Mhm.
is getting more flexible, but it's still there. It's still part of the
Right.
industry and it's still expected.
Mhm.
So amazing that you were able to create this and obviously found a way to balance still doing incredible work. Like you're in business, you have vitality as a business, you have projects, you're busy. So it's well done creating the balance. Has there been any you have this own flexibility in your life, work-life balance is important to you as an individual.
Mhm.
Has it ever been hard to provide that for the team or to offer that for the team, or have you had to make any decisions when it comes to that for your team?
I think, it's definitely challenging, right, to not know necessarily not be able to plan as far out, right? It's not so regimented and structured in that way. So that comes with its own set of challenges. But I think, again, to your point about having the right people, we all place high value on flexibility. And so, when somebody needs extra time away, for example, my dad got sick and he passed away in the fall of 2022 and I was his primary caregiver. So I, said, "Hey everyone, like here's the situation. I'm not going to be at my computer for like 2 months, but I will be available to you." And I can jump on as needed, but I'm, taking to doctor's appointments and picking people up to see him and say their goodbyes and things like that. So everyone really jumped in and worked together. And again, personal relationships, right? Like if these people that you work with are your friend, you see them as human, right? Not as a number or just some random person that you work with across the country. you're going to want to help them because they help you as well. So it's a mutual respect, I think, and appreciation for each other and what everyone does. And so, yeah, I think everyone is really willing to jump in and do a bit extra when one of the team members needs a bit of extra time. And so the other thing I do is, like, before I take on any project or any additional work, I will ask the team, you know, what is your availability like? Are you interested in doing this and taking this on? You know, because sometimes there might be somebody who says, you know what, I want a light year, right? I'm getting married or I'm pregnant or whatever, right? I'm moving, life happens. And so if, like, I really just want to work, I only have, 16 hours a week or something in order to maintain the level of flexibility and quality of life that I need for this year or this 6 months or whatever it might be. We try to take that into account early on and say, okay, great. We'll either take this project on because the other team members have the availability and interest, or everyone wants a light year, so we're just not going to take it. I mean, we'll reply to, half the projects we get in, or a third of the projects we get requested on. So we're just, again, the communication, very communicative. We all put that value on our flexibility. And so I think everyone's willing to do a little bit of extra legwork up front to communicate their needs and their availability so that we can maintain and sustain this type of work.
I love it. So the business is established, it's up and running, you've grown a team, you have great projects, you're in demand. What goals do you see for yourself personally and for the business in the future? Where do you want to go from here? Where do you want to take things from here?
I think what I've learned is that from a professional standpoint, being nimble is, I think, maybe the most important thing. It's good to have goals and ideas of the possibilities, and to work towards those goals, but there's always a curveball, I feel like. So you can plan and plan and plan all you want, but it's not going to end up a linear path, right, towards that goal. And so my mentality since learning that has really, again, just been take things as they come, very organic. So, during the pandemic, we had a lot of new project requests come in. It was multifamily, it was like under construction, it was booming. And so that's when our team grew. It wasn't a plan necessarily to grow beyond a certain amount of people or grow beyond, I think we had maybe 4 or 5 people at the time. So double in size, that wasn't the plan, but we responded to the market and the demands. And again, as a team, collectively decided that we wanted to take on this extra work and we wanted to grow the team and see what came of those opportunities. So in terms of business goal, I would say to stay in business and continue to do great work, and maybe, add additional types of projects to our portfolio as a team. I think the team is such a well-oiled machine with multifamily projects that they're ready to step into restaurant work or hotel work, cruises. We've been trying to market to additional hospitality sectors that I think could benefit from not only our remote working and flexibility, but also our expertise on efficiency and systemizing the design process. Personally, I think if I could see my kids grow up and truly believe that being the authors of their own lives is really possible, and that success is really happiness, right? Based on your happiness. And you don't need to be a millionaire, billionaire, right, to be successful. You don't need outside influences really to tell you you're successful. If you are living your best life, then that is success. And you have the power to create that for yourself. And so I hope by seeing me, at home working, and also traveling and still doing all the things, that they will grow up to be the happiest that they can be and be the most successful that they can be from that. And I've read them a book, and I think I'll have them read it again as they get older, but it's actually a business book. I think it's a business book, but it's called Good Luck. And I'd have to look up who the author is, but it basically is saying there's no such thing as luck. There's only good luck. And basically, good luck is the luck that you create for yourself. And the story goes through it's like knights and Merlin, the magician, right? And he says, one of you is going to find a 4-leaf clover in this forest, and that person will have good luck forever. It's like a magic, right? And so a lot of the knights are like, oh no, there's never been a 4-leaf clover, right? So that's the storyline. But basically it goes through these 4 knights that decide, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to try to do it, find it, but only, of course, one person finds it. And it's the person that creates the conditions for the 4-leaf clover to grow for the first time in that forest. So it's researching and being resourceful and asking the right questions, and then doing the work putting in the work to make the luck come to you. So I think that's what I try to live by. And I hope that my kids learn that lesson and live by that lesson as well, because I think then you can really do anything. You set your mind to it. You can make it all happen.
Authors of their own life. I was thinking that is already happening as they are sitting at the same table with you and everyone's doing their work for the day before they go and get to experience the culture in Portugal. So it's already happening. It's already.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I wanted to reach out to you because I became aware of your firm. I thought your projects were amazing. And then your email response was really intriguing. And that's how we got onto this idea of your experience and the tips that you have to share about running a successful remote team and how you take care of yourself and you take care of the people. And then the trickle effect is going to be that your projects and your clients are taken care of as well. So thank you for sharing this.
You create the right conditions for success, and then success.
I love it. Thanks so much for the conversation, for joining us.
I appreciate it so much.
Of course. If people want to learn more about working with you, where can they view your portfolio?
The best place would be our website, which is www.designart-llc.com, dash meaning hyphen. Or you can look me up on LinkedIn, Grace Machado McClurg, or Design Art LLC. There's also a business page on LinkedIn. And those 2 places should send you to at least my inbox or the admin team's inbox that will then eventually get to me.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Nailed It, business tips from industry leaders, brought to you by Clever Punch. Nailed It is all about connecting with people, building relationships, and helping each other. If you're interested in connecting with any of the guests on our episodes, you can find their contact info in our show notes or on the podcast page at cleverpunchco.com. You can also email info@cleverpunchco.com with any questions or feedback. I'm your host, Jade Flogersey. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.